fighting behemoth ocean battleships.
Your adrenaline's just pumped to the max.
Battling speed demon alpha predators.
Oh my God, look at this huge fin. I thought it was a whale.
Stalking venomous hidden hunters.
It's almost like stepping on a venomous mousetrap, like springing a booby trap.
And the ultimate showdown, Whopper versus U.S. President.
How is fishing like politics? It's not, I suppose you might say the day you win an election, it's like catching a 135-pound tarpon.
For science, sport, and food, it's the most extreme encounters in our eternal quest for hooked monster fish. Mammoth whoppers rule our waters. In these murky depths, we're just visitors. Yet we're driven to uncover them, understand them, and take them on. Back-breaking battles, tough tests of endurance, colossal contests of skill and will. On the front lines of man versus beast, we challenge and celebrate the world's mightiest monster fish. In the world of whoppers, they're a killer combo. Part fearsome hunter, part turbocharged torpedo. The mako shark.
It's really the speed demon of the ocean.
These powerful double threats are the fastest sharks on Earth, with speeds exceeding 48 kilometers an hour. No other shark combines such breakneck speed with such fierce killing power. It all makes the mako one of the ocean's most ferocious and deadly predators.
And it's not simply the fact that it can get fast, it gets fast quickly. It's the acceleration that really doesn't compare to any other shark species. Just that burst from a gliding maybe 4 or 5 miles an hour to 20, shoo, before you can see it. It just leaves a trail of bubbles.
And fast-moving makos reach titanic sizes. Record setters have weighed nearly 700 kilos, while many more top the scales at over 450 kilos. To carry such mammoth girth, their cartilage-based bodies can stretch over 3.5 meters, and strong sickle-shaped tails power their mass like missiles.
It's almost like kicking in the turbo on a high-performance sports car or a motorcycle. The mako shark is pretty much from here to there to its prey item in just a moment, a few flicks of that well-designed tail.
Speed demon makos also sport a total body shape that's built like a torpedo.
They're exceptionally hydrodynamic. If you look at some of our modern aircraft or our submarines, you can see some of the designs that stem from the mako shark. The tail is large, it's long. Just a few swipes of that tail propel it through the ocean so rapidly. And right down to the shape of their scales. The scales themselves, on a microscopic level, allow water to just pass slipstream right over the shark.
Makos use the same dynamics to power themselves out of the water.
The mako shark may breach and burst out of the water. There's less drag when you're in the air, so it can get maybe, again, the jump on its prey item.
Though violent attacks on people are rare, when provoked or threatened, makos will strike. Experienced anglers know, tangle with a mako, it's at your own risk.
They are the king of the ocean. They rule. They're not afraid of anyone. And they are tenacious.
July 15th, 2006. A mako shark fishing tournament in the Channel Islands off the coast of Southern California. Avid angler Marilyn Stevens and a seasoned crew set out hoping to catch the day's winning whopper. Reaching the open ocean, the crew drops some tempting shark bait, a punctured bucket filled with fish guts.
Okay, guys, chum's over. Chum's going in.
Some sharks can smell blood in the water at an astounding 1 part per million. That's the equivalent of detecting a few drops of blood in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. The crew watches and waits. Suddenly, 100 yards from the boat, they spot a fin. It's so big, they're not sure what species they've lured.
We all screamed and yelled and carried on and said, "Oh my God, look at this huge fin." I thought actually it was a whale.
Marilyn's determined to find out. But before she can get closer, the fin disappears.
Turn it around. He's not coming back in. Look.
Marilyn fears she's lost the catch. But a few hours later, it's back.
There was that fin again, now only about 30 yards out from the boat.
Up close, there's no doubt, it's a mighty mako. The crew casts a baited line towards the fish, but the fin disappears once more. With the clock ticking, Marilyn's hopes for the tournament trophy disappear with it.
He's not taking it yet.
Then, without warning, she feels an arm-ripping heave on her line.
Oh man, oh! It was a very, very different experience than I've ever had. The tug was incredibly powerful.
With the reel spinning fast, it's hard to stay calm. But Marilyn knows, against a mako, she needs a strategy. To hook it, she's got to let the shark grab the bait and run.
I kept thinking was be careful, be careful, be careful, because if I don't hook it, if he doesn't take the bait, if I don't set it correctly, I'm going to miss this one glorious opportunity.
The angler yanks the fishing line in several strong bursts, gripping the rod with both hands. At last, Marilyn's done it. The mako's hooked. Now she has to hang on to a wild
Go in
beast.
sideways. That's it. Step over. Okay, you got it. You got it.
The mako sails above the water, doing flips.
As soon as I set that hook, he just came leaping out of the ocean, did that backflip, did it twice, and that was spectacular.
Oh my God! Backflip! Oh my God!
Then, Marilyn's worst fear. The hunted becomes the hunter. The mako changes direction, headed straight towards the boat.
Johnny, he's charging the boat. Let's move it. Hit it. Mako shark are fast, and they have been known to actually jump in boats. And so whenever you have a mako shark charging at the boat and literally, coming towards you, that is a major concern. Hit it! Hit it!
Reacting fast, the crew tries to keep the boat ahead of the shark. But the speeding mako has its own plan. Immediately, it hits the surface and starts rolling on the line, spinning like a top.
My gosh, I've never seen a mako do that before. That was a very, very dangerous part of the capture because they'll do that in an effort to try and break the line. Johnny, he's going out. We need to back down. That's it.
Go, 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 go!
To give the line some slack, the crew backs up. But the rolling mako suddenly dives under. Fish and boat are locked in a battle of wills.
He's taking line. I'm trying to get some line back. He's taking more line. I'm trying to take line back. And there's a tug of war going on at that point. That's it! Good!
The tug of war rages for a grueling 2 hours. Marilyn's worn out and worried she's losing the catch.
Good job, Marilyn. Good job.
Then, with a muscle-burning pull, she gets enough line to pull the mako up, holding it at the surface. It's titanic, even bigger than anyone expected.
Oh my my God. That is a big mako. We knew it was the largest mako shark we had ever found. It's scary to see that size of a fish that close to you with his mouth wide open. I would say that there was definitely a fear factor there.
It's a daunting challenge. To reel a snapping shark to a boat takes courage and skill.
Hey guys, I got leader. Come on guys. Come on guys. Gas ready.
Moving fast, the team pulls the shark in.
Come on. Get it in. Oh, come on.
Rope tying its tail and snout. At last, after putting their tournament fishing skills to the ultimate test, they've got the whopper mako caught.
We got it. We got it.
Back on shore, game officials are stunned. It's a grander plus. Tipping the scales at over 770 kilos.
80 inches.
Stretching more than 3 meters.
Oh, man.
Maryland takes the tournament and shatters the record for the largest mako ever caught by a female angler. The team donates enough shark meat to make 2,000 meals for the homeless. But today, as a species, makos face growing threats. Alarming evidence shows a double danger. Makos are getting smaller on 2 fronts: numbers and growth. Smaller sizes and populations are driving biologists to investigate. Many believe one of the gravest threats to the makos comes down to a lethal element: mercury.
We find that mercury levels, the atmospheric mercury that falls into the ocean and again works its way up the food chain to these top predators like the mako shark, mercury levels are building in their tissues.
Frequently, the bigger the fish, the higher the mercury level. Also known as quicksilver, mercury's a heavy metal, a powerful pollutant that gets into the air and water. Big fish like makos live long, eating a steady diet of mercury-carrying prey. Over time, the whopper fish becomes dangerously unhealthy, stunted, and toxic.
Now that's something that we need to be aware of as consumers, as individuals. Any animal that we eat out of the ocean, we have to be concerned about, again, high levels of mercury in the tissues of the fish, but also, of course, it has an effect on the animals themselves. And studies may show that mercury levels in mako sharks may affect their growth rate, their reproductive success, and just their overall health, as one can imagine.
Worldwide efforts to clean up mercury are helping, monitoring metal manufacturing, and curbing mercury-based products. All giving monster fish like the mako a chance to reach truly monster proportions. Among the planet's mightiest whoppers, hulking and huge, they glide through the water like behemoth battleships. The Goliath grouper. Goliath groupers live up to their name. Colossal cousins to the sea bass, Goliaths are the West Atlantic's largest groupers. These whoppers grow as long as surfboards. Record Goliaths have topped the scales at nearly 700 kilos, stretching almost 2.5 meters.
These guys are like swimming foam booths sometimes. They're just huge.
The Goliath's super size is a monster survival advantage. Powered by hunting instincts, giant Goliaths are fiercely territorial and hungry. Fish, shellfish, and even sea turtles who swim into Goliath turf fast become food. And as for predators, Goliaths get so big, they outsize hunting barracudas and sharks. Only the largest predator even attempts a Goliath kill. For anglers, tackling a Goliath grouper's a tough test, fighting a mammoth fish that won't quit. December 11, 2004. Fishing mecca, San Carlos Bay, Florida. Professional fishing guides Nelson Diaz and Ben Chansey set out together with only one species in mind, Goliath grouper. And the men know there's only one place to go. The Sanibel Causeway Bridge, Goliath's stomping ground. Here, these territorial fish take advantage of concrete pylons, ideal cover for ambushing prey. Soon after the bait hits the water, the angler feels a tug so powerful, it almost pulls him overboard. Nelson's convinced only a Goliath can pull so hard, so fast.
When you first get the hit, it's just a pull. It breaks, it's really your body is just going like, I can't do this anymore. You know, you're just stressed out.
Anchoring his feet against the railing, bearing down on the rod, Nelson tries to stay put, but he's losing ground fast.
Something's gonna break, you're gonna get pulled into the water.
The angler pulls on the reel hard as he can. The Goliath won't budge. It's a risky situation. Any moment, the line could snap from rubbing against the ragged concrete block.
You have to get the fish out. If you don't get the fish out of the structure, they're gonna break you off.
Nelson refuses to quit. He's convinced he just has to get the boat and the fish further away from the bridge. But as the anglers navigate past the pylons, the strategy to lure the fish from its hiding place works too well. The Goliath follows them and keeps going, swimming all the way under the boat. Now, to stay hooked, Nelson has to do fishing gymnastics. As the line strains under the whopper's weight, the fisherman gathers his strength and gives a yank. It takes an epic struggle, but he's got it. Nelson pulls the Goliath to the surface. It's huge. Yet a new battle's just begun. The fishermen want to measure the monster specimen alive, but the monster has no intention of giving in. The Goliath thrashes and slaps. Using an instrument called a boca grip, the angler corrals the fighting fish. Nelson grabs hold of a fleshy lip.
I just grabbed his lip, and it was really like, that was his lip. And it was like grabbing like a big 2x4 or something.
Pulling the grouper into the boat at last.
And once we slid him in the boat, like, you could actually really see how big he was. It was amazing.
The measurements are jaw-dropping. Over 2 meters long and nearly 2 meters around, plus an estimated 300 kilos. Before releasing it back into the water, home video footage captures the catch of a career.
Just couldn't wait to get pictures, and you know, because that was my biggest fish, you know, I ever caught there. Here she goes.
Yet this supersized species is fighting for its survival. Goliath groupers are considered critically endangered. What does such a dangerous designation mean?
For an animal to change its status, we can look at population density. So not just simply the number of animals, but their distribution.
Before extinction, there are 4 alarming rungs on the preservation ladder. International organizations calculate factors like total population, rates of decline, and habitat threats. Once a species is in trouble, it graduates from near threatened to vulnerable, from vulnerable to endangered, and then to the worst scenario, critically endangered. Efforts like fishing bans to save the Goliath have helped the species start to rebound. The ultimate goal? Goliaths reaching the bottom rung of conservation, least concern. Among the world's biggest monster fish, some are more than just huge. They're lethal. These masters of camouflage can kill with the flick of a whip. The stingray.
You may not even see it there. And if you do see it, probably the last thing you're going to think is this animal's going to be dangerous. And then bam, you've been popped, just like that.
Stingrays are a gargantuan group. 70 ray species inhabit the planet. Diverse ray species may be members of different fish families, but many share classic ray traits. And among them all, the biggest whoppers are the manta rays, weighing nearly 1,400 kilos with wingspans long as 9 meters. And mantas aren't the only monsters. Short-tailed rays can easily weigh over 300 kilos. And with a nearly 2-meter length, their total surface area can add up to 4 square meters. Big as an office cubicle. Bottom-skimming rays are passive feeders with an edge. Some rays filter plankton and small fish, shellfish or krill into their downturned jaws. But when they want more, they can turn their mouths into vacuum cleaners, sucking up prey hidden under the sand. Rays can also keep their heads and bodies virtually buried in sand without suffocating.
They feed off the bottom, but they actually breathe through the top. 2 big holes on the top of their body. Sort of our nostrils went right around to the back of our head so that we can inhale through, or we can inhale through there and blow it out through our mouth.
And when threatened, with the flick of a tail whip, a stingray becomes an assassin. Jagged tail barbs connect to a venom gland near the base of the spine. As the tail makes contact, the barb embeds or shreds the unlucky victim, causing searing pain or worse, piercing arteries, even bone, causing toxic shock and sometimes death.
It's almost like a combination of having a whip on the back that you can, kind of like Zorro, you could crack it at your enemies like that, but the tip of it actually is safe.
It all adds up to a powerful monster fish. For fishermen who take them on, a whopper stingray is a tough test of strength.
The smallest stingray in the world will give you one heck of a fight when you're trying to pull something through the water that's shaped like an airplane.
August 10th, 2007, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, Virginia. On a mission to catch a whopper, avid angler Jason Bell stakes out a prime spot on the nearly 200-meter-long Seagull Pier, a fishing hotspot, projecting anglers far out and 9 meters above the bay. Scanning the waters, Jason casts his baited line. Setting the line to free spool, the angler props the fishing rod against the pier's railing and briefly turns away. Suddenly, the reel starts to wail. Gripping the rod tight as he can, Jason's never felt a drag this strong.
Basically, it felt like I really hooked a submarine.
The long fishing rod bends dangerously towards the water. At any moment, it could snap. All at once, the water's surface breaks. A dark mass moves and ripples below. The angler recognizes the shape, a whopper ray.
I could see like a big old brown diamond-shaped thing swimming on the water, and instantly I knew it was a stingray.
Jason gets a glimpse, but not enough to determine the fish's full size. The ray dives down deeper. The angler's worried the stingray might bury itself on the sandy bottom.
If he would have ever got on the bottom, I would have never gotten him up.
But the stingray has other plans. The fish pulls his line all the way under and out the other side of the pier, dangerously close to the cement pylons where the thin line could fray. In a desperate move, Jason locks the reel. It's a risky maneuver. The ray can't pull out any more line. But with the added tension, the thin filament is in greater danger of breaking. The fisherman holds tight. His arms are near the breaking point. Gathering his strength, Jason manages to reel the ray back to his side of the pier. Success! But it's only half the battle. The ray's still deep underwater. To get it to the surface, Jason has to hoist the flapping stingray straight up. It's tougher than lifting dead weight.
When you're pulling a bucket through the water, it has a lot of water resistance just because of the sheer mass, the sheer size of the fish.
After a back-breaking 60 minutes, Jason gets the whopper ray to the surface with a powerful heave. He can't believe his eyes. It's even bigger than he imagined. But as he struggles to pull the ray out of the water, the angler realizes it's impossible. He needs more muscle, fast. He calls out to a bystander who rushes in to help, using a gaff and rope to hook the ray. Once it's gaffed, Jason throws down his rod. Together, the men fight a bloody tug of war, literally.
As I was pulling up on the rope, it was cutting right through the palm of my hand just because it was so heavy.
For this phenomenal fish, they're going to need even more brawn. Incredibly, it takes 4 men, 8 arms, and many long minutes to hoist the ray. At last, they've done it. The men get the Leviathan onto the dock. Mission accomplished. It's a monster, weighing 126 kilos. The stingray's nearly 2 meters across, stretching over 1.5 meters long. As Jason's photo shows, it's bigger than a car's hood. A pending world record for the largest stingray caught on rod and reel.
It's the biggest thing I've ever caught. It's fought me longer than anything I caught.
Around the world, stingrays are often feared. Yet ironically, in the future, the same toxic trait that makes these fish so frightening may become their greatest asset to species protection: their venom. Stingray venom may have healing powers. Crossing the line from poison to potion may come down to quality versus quantity. Too much stingray venom can cause muscle contractions and seizures. But in the right doses, new research tests if the same poisonous protein can be used to treat serious illness. From dangerous to life-saving, further proof of the importance of protecting big fish like mighty, remarkable rays. In the world of whoppers, they're like long-distance submarines. And when it's time to hunt, this swimming fleet becomes a battalion, the northern bluefin tuna.
They just swarm in and attack their prey, and the prey might just explode out of the water. They move so quickly.
Kilo for kilo, bluefin are some of the biggest fish to roam the open ocean. Whopper bluefin have tipped the scales at 680 kilos, stretching over 4 meters. But unlike most big fish, behemoth bluefin roam in packs. They're the largest bony fish to swim in schools. Unusual behavior for animals big enough to survive solo, yet it's extremely smart. Schooling creates a dense mass of shimmering bodies underwater, deterring predators like sharks, who find it much harder to penetrate and charge a shifting and fast-moving gang.
They don't just have the advantage of strength in numbers, they have, well, truly they have stealth and intelligence in numbers to respect.
And when it comes to the hunt, schooling bluefin become a deadly swarm, executing maneuvers en masse, attacking prey like a brigade. If bluefin had a killer's credo, it'd be all for one.
They're really about the only schooling fish we know of that works cooperatively. They corral around almost like a football team. They all have a role to play, but they're all working towards the same goal, and that goal is getting dinner.
For anglers, chasing down these schooling hunters can push even a pro to the edge of endurance.
Once a bluefin tuna is actually on the line, look out, you're looking for quite a fight.
June 24th, 2007. Famous fishing hub, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Experienced angler Bo Haycox, his father and friends, set out on an expedition, hoping to catch a big marlin. Soon after dropping their lines, they spot a commotion on the port side. A whopping splash.
There he is! Fish on! Fish on!
The anglers realize it's a double whammy.
Got it! All right, come on.
Simultaneously, 2 rods, Bo's and his father Rick's, bend down with a powerful tug. Each man's hooked a monster fish.
There he is!
2 rods just came down. Bam!
At that moment, Rick's line suddenly breaks off in a snap. He's lost his whopper catch. Bo's determined not to lose his. What started as a 2-man fight is now down to 1. For maximum leverage, Bo quickly climbs into the fishing chair. His reel is screaming. By now, the fish has taken out so much line, Bo only has about 90 meters left. It's super-sized and strong.
Let's go and get it! Let's go and get it!
We knew it was a huge fish. It was probably about 300 yards away, so we didn't know quite what we had.
One thing Bo does know, landing this fighting fish will take all the strength he's got.
There's nothing I could do but just hold on and let him go.
The exhausting tug-of-war wears on. Bo bucks and strains in the fishing chair. Father Rick has a trick to make it easier for his son. He pours liquid soap onto the seat, allowing Bo to slide without getting stuck.
You almost got him. Hang in there.
But Bo's fish shows no sign of letting up. The angler's body's aching, yet he hangs on for an incredible 3 hours.
All right, you want some water?
Neither man nor beast is willing to give up.
I didn't want to fight him anymore, but I wanted to get the fish.
Bo's stamina's at the breaking point. He tries any strategy to increase pressure on his line. He puts a glove on his hand to clutch the reel without cutting his flesh.
It's a battle, and it's you against the fish, and you want to win. Of course, he wants to win too.
Then, after 4 back-breaking hours, Bo's determination pays off.
There it is!
The fish surfaces in a rush.
Get ready!
It's no marlin. It's a bluefin tuna. the biggest he's ever reeled in.
He came up to the surface. I mean, I think all of us were like, oh my gosh, this is a big fish.
Yeah, that's a big bluefin there.
It takes all hands on deck to hoist the whopper on board. At last, they've got it.
That's great. We got it.
Got it?
Bro, this might be a new state record.
Examining the tuna, they think it might be a record catch. The skipper grabs the radio and calls friends ashore, sharing the news. They've got a monster.
Ended up being, they said, you got over 100-inch fish, you got it.
Great work, bro. Good job.
At the docks, a huge crowd's gathered. It takes 10 men to lift the giant tuna. The mega catch stretches an astounding 2.7 meters long, weighs 259 kilos, and measures nearly 2 meters around. A record breaker, Virginia State's largest bluefin tuna catch. But what future do bluefin face? Around the world, commercial fishing and pollution are threatening bluefin survival. One solution may come down to a groundbreaking idea: turning this wild species into a healthy, sustainable crop. The challenges are immense. In order to reproduce sustainable species, you need to be able to spawn, gather, and fertilize their eggs for successful reproduction. But wild bluefin are considered extremely difficult to tame and breed. That is, until now. Though it's still challenging science, successful tuna farms in South Australia and Japan are leading the way to captive breeding. Intensive research has fueled critical innovations, including captive bluefin breeding from eggs. Scientists have safely captured wild bluefin and set up closely monitored sea cages that allow them to induce spawning, even creating usable eggs that may hatch under man-made conditions. All part of protecting this endangered monster fish. In the most extreme fishing quests, some monster fish are among the most prized catches on Earth. The tarpon. Ancient survivors, strong, tenacious, a tough test of skill and will. For one former U.S. president and an Olympic athlete, the ultimate battle of man versus whopper.
This tarpon is just huge thrill because of his size and his majesty and the beauty. It was just great.
Atlantic tarpon are prehistoric predators dating back 300 million years. Part of their epic survival comes down to mammoth proportions. Longer than bathtubs, whopper shimmery silver tarpon can stretch 2.5 meters and weigh over 130 kilos.
These are enormous fish. They're like Escalades covered in chrome, just cruising through the shallows of the Gulf waters. They're huge fighters, very strong fish.
One advantage to growing huge is a mouth built like an armored trap. Tarpon jaws are connected at the throat by a bony plate and held together by ligaments and muscle. Their bony mouths literally work like snapping traps, helping tarpon catch, crush, and devour fast-moving prey with powerful force. But for anglers, penetrating these bony jaws is one of the biggest tests in sport fishing. Most hooks simply fall flat against these crushing maws. And if an angler's lucky enough to penetrate a chink in the tarpon's armor, he's in for a fight.
Hang on.
Famed anglers have taken on tarpon for generations. Herbert Hoover was a tarpon fishing fan. And in 1937, Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his boatmates reeled in an 80-pound Texas tarpon. And the latest leader to battle this formidable fish?
See that breaking water out there?
41st President George Herbert Walker Bush is a self-described fishing fanatic, an avid angler for 80 years. A childhood passion that began here at his Kennebunkport, Maine home.
I started right here off these rocks in the year 1923. ate about. And my grandfather taught us to catch mackerel. But I can't do a lot of the kind of fishing I used to do. I can't stand out on the rocks out here in front of our house because I lose my balance. And everybody panics, starting with my wife and the Secret Service guys and everybody else.
Even anglers accustomed to dealing with affairs of state embrace fishing's conquests, R&R, and family bonding.
And in our family, we do it with the different generations. That's my beloved daughter. That one is the President of the United States fishing with his father. But the thing I love about this one is it shows that you use a lot of heft to get that lure out there. That'll show you 2 generations, enthusiasm of 2 generations of bushes.
The former president has a shed devoted to an extensive collection of gear.
We got the equipment, I guarantee you that.
Gathered over decades.
That's game fish. Now here we go. These are all flies, they all work. These would work for tarpon or for a lot of other game fish. Now here we go for a little, these are smaller fish, smaller flies, tiny little things.
Did that bring a smile to your face?
It sure did. I didn't want to lose him now.
Like many anglers, Bush has favorite fishing buddies, including Olympic downhill skier and tournament fisherman Andy Mill.
You want to net this fish for me?
If I lose it, don't blame the net man.
Together, they're veterans of adventure fishing around the world.
I got it. I'll bring her over to you.
Bring it around.
Here we are in the Arctic Circle in frigid waters. Everybody's got hypothermia, ready to go in after about 5 hours, and President Bush is still out there in his waist-deep water, cast a fly, determined to catch an Arctic char.
The President's got a fish. The President's got a fish.
Oh, how fun is this?
Glad to be of service. Call on me if you need me.
And when the 2 anglers set their mind on snagging a monster Florida tarpon, Andy and George Herbert Walker were determined to make it a reality. To up the ante, President Bush wanted to catch the fish on a fly reel, an extraordinary challenge to snag a big bony-mouthed beast.
We could probably arrange for a 7-footer for you anyway.
I said, hey, Andy, I'd love to have you, grant me my last wish as an angler, and that's to catch a tarpon on fly. And I'm looking around and go, oh my God, you know how hard this is going to be. Is there another Andy in the room?
I've been wanting to catch a tarpon on a fly rod. This time we're going to get one. I think it's one of the, pound for pound, one of the most fighting fish there is.
April 19th, 2008, the Florida Keys.
I think we're going to do very, very well.
President Bush, Andy Mill, and boat captain George Wood set out for a tarpon fishing expedition, prepping their rods and bracing themselves for the fish's unique challenges. True to his mission, Bush insists on using fly gear. As the name suggests, fly fishing mimics a fly landing on water. The lightweight rod's designed for flinging the line out far as possible. Artificial lures are built to look like live bobbing flies. The trick? Making the lure act like an insect. Too long on the water and it looks dead. Too fast and the fish doesn't have enough time to bite the bait. Tarpon are notorious for snubbing bait.
Well, they don't bite that much.
Catch a tarpon on a fly. I know it can be done, fellas.
Sometimes you can throw right at them and they won't touch it.
There you go.
The anglers drop their baited lines, scanning the waters, looking for any movement.
Come on, little tarpon.
The former president is battling an additional challenge. An injury. A recent back sprain keeps him seated. On board, buddy Andy Mill hides his concern.
There you go, beautiful.
In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, it's hard for him to stand up on the deck of a boat. You're rocking in the water. You can't cast too far. And the visibility, you got to be able to pick up and see these fish. And that's getting more and more difficult for him.
But Bush is determined to land a monster. Suddenly, there's turmoil in the water. Churning, changing tides, bringing in big fish.
And the tide switched, and all of a sudden the fish started appearing. And we knew, the bombs were going to go off. And sure enough, here come the fish.
Look at that, Andy.
The men cast their rods into the fray.
Captain, what is it?
It's a whale.
The skipper feels a sharp tug on his line.
What the heck is that? Fish on!
The captain passes his reel to Andy Mill, who promptly passes it to the seated President Bush,
There you go, George.
handing over what's about to become a titanic tug of war. The fish grabs hold of the bait and starts jumping. When agitated, tarpon can propel themselves several feet out of the water.
And then he jumps sky high, first of several jumps. He's got a hard mouth, and he took it. We got him well hooked. And so it was just holding, keeping a strain on him.
Seeing the tarpon fly through the air, everyone realizes it's a whopper.
But I couldn't hardly believe it. But then I was worried about keeping him on the line, keeping him hooked, and not letting him break away.
You know, I don't think he realized how big this fish was until we got up. And I think way down inside, he might have been a little bit intimidated.
It takes tremendous strength to keep the bucking tarpon on the line. As the fight wears on, President Bush struggles through his injury, hoping the catch isn't literally backbreaking. More than once, he fears he's lost the tarpon.
Don't snap the line. We'll pull this one in together.
He keeps his eyes fixed on the whopper fish, cutting deep through the water, refusing to give up.
And I thought I'd listen, but we fought him for 45 minutes. But it seemed like an hour.
But soon, the tarpon begins to tire.
Coming up for air in a second.
The former president marshals the last of his strength and yanks back hard as he can on his line. All at once, he's got it. The fish surfaces at the edge of the boat. It's a super specimen.
When we got that big fish up next to the boat, I had a lot of anxiety in the fact, knowing the situation. And I'm begging, I'm praying with everything I had that we could pull this fish into the lap of the president.
Now the real challenge, getting the whopper on board for a quick photo and a safe catch and release. It means hauling up a mass of wriggling muscle without injuring or losing the catch. Wasting no time, experienced Captain George Wood steps in. Success.
That is the fish.
I think maybe you've seen the picture of the two of us holding him, and then we just turned him loose and away he swam.
Before letting it go, the seasoned team estimates the fish's length at almost 2 meters, almost 1 meter around, and a whopping 61 kilos. Even for a president with over 8 decades of angling experience, the conquest was one of the highlights of his sport fishing career.
These are some great flies. I just haven't tried them, but I will. I'll be out there as soon as the fish get out there. How is fishing like politics? More mice. You get ridiculed if you break out the mouse pack. I suppose you might say the day you win an election, it's like catching a 135-pound tarpon. I'll never forget it. Lifetime experience. This was better than walking up Madison Avenue following Sophia Loren.
Around the world, tarpon trophy fishing is facing a new frontier and attitude towards saving the fish competitors' catch.
In the past, tarpon fishing tournaments were really trophy tournaments. Catch the fish, get it mounted, put it up on the wall. That's changed these days, and this is the trend of tarpon tournaments around the country.
And it's not just tarpon. From bass to marlin to sharks, catch and release techniques and regulations are blazing new trails amongst tournament fishermen. On board, fish preserving cages called keep-alive boxes, built-in live wells, and careful weigh-in techniques are all helping fishermen win trophies without fatally harming the species they hunt.
You want these fish to move and to be protected, so I'm a big fish and release man. The big guys you want to treat with respect.
Colossal creatures. Titanic beasts that rule our waters with incredible power. wherever and however we encounter them. For sport, study, or food, these apex predators and giant whoppers deserve our respect. So we can continue to treasure and take on the world's most astounding monster fish. Chasing a high-flying hunter in the Pacific, a mammoth mako shark.
You going away? Man.
Oh, dude, he's right there. He's chasing us.
Hang on.
Wrangling a silver king on the fly, a titanic leaping tarpon.
All right, are we ready?
Hitting a shark-infested reef to tag the ultimate underwater flying monster, a massive manta ray.
It's just like putting a very sharp knife into butter.
And a deadly showdown. A life-or-death clash of man versus black marlin, impaling a young angler's head.
Oh my God!
I didn't know if he was going to live.
In the name of science and sport, it's the most extreme encounters of man versus fish. Unhooked, flying monsters. Leaping out of our rivers and oceans, they're the ultimate deadly daredevils. To kill or fight for their own survival, these amazing aerial acrobats take to the skies. And on the hunt or on the run, when these phenomenal fish fly, they defy gravity. How do they become top guns? In astounding encounters face to face, we uncover the secrets of these flying whoppers.
When we look at the body of a fish, we see a body shape that is highly streamlined, in the same way that an airplane is streamlined. What is good in water is also very good for movement in air.
Add a lethal weapon to the daredevil design, and you've got airborne alpha predators. In some battles of man versus fearsome flying fish, a leaping beast can push the fight to the killer edge, taking human flesh, risking an angler's life. Peñas Bay, Panama, July 7th, 2005. Bob Schultz is an international sport fisherman, but this South American trip is special. His children, Stephen and Allison, are along for the ride.
This is lovely. Here's my dad taking the photo.
I wanted to get both of them down there to just spend 8 hours a day with me in a boat and not have any place else to go.
Say hello.
No phones, no cell phones, no TVs, just dad time.
Bob's hope is to pass along his passion for pulling in monster fish, especially one of the most coveted of all, black marlin, known in this fishing mecca as His Majesty.
They're powerful jumpers, leapers. They really put on a show.
Yeah, catching a big one.
Are you going to stay in the chair?
Meet their target, black marlin. In an ocean battleground, these hunters attack prey with aeronautical speed and a brutal, jutting javelin.
They have that bill, and that bill is extremely sharp, and various billfish have actually been known to puncture the hulls of wooden boats.
Record-setting marlins stretch over 4 meters, weighing in at almost 700 kilos. Yet their super size doesn't slow them down. These cruising commandos hunt like radar-guided missiles, hitting speeds nearly 130 kilometers an hour. Pouncing on prey at the water's surface, behemoth body muscle and kinetic energy send them soaring straight out of the water.
So marlin can jump about 10 feet out of the water, and that's pretty remarkable when you consider the size of the animal. These are very big fish, and so to actually develop enough thrust To drive themselves out of the water to such a height is a fairly great accomplishment.
And once they're flying, marlin can keep going. Seen from the surface, these bounding beasts look like they're skimming along the ocean, a spectacle known as greyhounding. And above or below the water, the black marlin is always poised for an attack, with a little help from these. It's estimated black marlin bills can stretch nearly a full meter. Yet incredibly, their bills are actually upper jaws that jut out like flesh-stabbing swords.
It's actually its upper jaw that forms this large sword or bill on the front.
For someone who's trying to bring a marlin in, it's important to actually get a handle on that bill to control that, keep it from flailing around and potentially being impaled by it.
For any angler, taking on a black marlin is a serious test of skill that can take a turn for the terrifying.
Marlin look like pure muscle. They're just really thickly built fish. They fight back. You can't almost hold on to the rod sometimes because they're so strong.
Now back in the boat, the Schultz family has no way of knowing their fishing trip is about to turn into a nightmare. Nearly 50 kilometers out to sea, the crew sets bait and casts into the ocean. Allison documents the trip on her video camera.
Oh, you getting some pictures?
Yeah, I'm getting all of it on video.
At first, no one's having any luck.
I ate the bait.
Then suddenly, Steven's rod starts singing. He's got something strong. Steven grabs hold and starts fighting. But as he struggles to keep control, the pull is intense, more powerful than anything he's ever felt.
I knew it was the biggest fish I had caught thus far in my life. Even catching sailfish wasn't like that. It was just pulling so differently and so hard.
In a flash, the fish makes a giant leap out of the water. It's a monster black marlin soaring like a missile.
The first jump was awesome because I'd never seen a fish that big in real life. And I was kind of shocked and awed by it and really intimidated by the size of it because I was afraid that that's what I was going to be reeling in.
And I saw the thing completely clear the water, and it was humongous.
Steven braces himself for an epic battle. Mammoth marlin will fight to the death.
You have to pace yourself to fight the fish for that long. I was ready to just, use every muscle in my body.
But after an exhausting 30 minutes, Steven's arms are burning with fatigue. Trying to stay focused, he has no idea what's going on underwater.
We hadn't seen the fish in 15 minutes, so we didn't know exactly where it was or how far away it was.
Feeling a sharp tug on the line, Steven senses the marlin is agitated below. He and Bob scan the water, anxious to see the beast's next move. In an instant, the fish bursts from the water, right next to the boat. Even as Steven fights to stay hooked, the family's thrilled to see His Majesty, the black marlin, up close. The incredible animal dives back down and once again takes a giant leap. But something's very wrong. In a sickening split second, it's clear the marlin is flying straight at Steven. Trapped, moments from impact, time seems to stand still.
When the fish was coming in the boat, I realized that it was going to hit me, and I just didn't really give myself any time to react because I didn't think it was real.
I don't think it was an errant jump. They're apex predators. Nobody messes with them, This fish got messed with, and I think it just said, we're gonna get you.
Oh my God, oh my God.
The thrashing marlin's huge, an estimated 2.5 meters long and a whopping 270 kilos, big enough to do lethal damage to Stephen's head. It flies head-on, stabbing Stephen in the face with its bill.
I woke up on the deck of the boat, and I was getting pulled into the corner, and the mates rushed over, cut the line.
As the crew cuts the line, Bob rushes to his son.
I didn't know if he was going to live. He was screaming in pain. I grabbed a towel and I shoved a towel on his face. And I honestly couldn't look at that point.
And the situation gets worse. The boat isn't equipped with emergency supplies. Trapped at sea, hours from civilization, Bob does his best to keep his son calm as the ship races back to shore. But with each passing second, Stephen Schultz is on borrowed time. Lacerated through the mouth by a 270-kilo flying black marlin, young angler Stephen Schultz fights for survival as his family races him miles back to shore. Back on land, Stephen's flown to a hospital in Panama City. All told, it's been 5 hours since the marlin strike, and Stephen's ordeal is far from over. X-rays reveal 4 broken facial bones. Deep lacerations cut through the angler's mouth and throat. And now there's an even deadlier risk: infection. Marlin bills are covered in bacteria. Stephen's doctors administer Cipro, an antibiotic so powerful it's used to fight anthrax.
The marlin's bill went in my mouth, hit me in the back of the throat, came across my wisdom tooth scars that had just gotten removed, and tore up the upper part of my cheek, and then cut my cheek on the way out. It took about a month and a half for me to heal completely. That's all I'm thinking about.
Though Stephen made a full recovery, some wounds take longer to heal.
Stephen was very close to being killed that day.
Oh my God!
I can tell you that for the first couple of years, I thought about it every day. Every day.
Today, father and son hold no grudge against the marlin. They continue to enjoy fishing trips around the world, though they take a few more precautions, especially around large billfish.
I think we both have a newfound respect for marlin and what they're capable of. Our fishing experience has always been a good bonding time for us, and nothing's really changed, just we're a little bit more cautious when the fish get close.
Around the world, each flying fish species is its own aeronautical specialist with unique and astounding aerial techniques. In Brazil's Amazon River, some predators take flight like surface-to-air missiles. Here, these seemingly common fish called matrinxa are leaping hunters. Zeroing in on their prey, they fire out of the water, hit their target, and head home.
They've specialized on going after prey organisms that are simply hanging out on tree limbs. In this way, by leaping out of the water, they can catch those animals.
But matrinxa aren't the only fish that fly to go after the kill. Deep in another flying fish destination, an angler's ready to take on an epic battle of fishermen versus airborne beast. Puerto Real Bay, Puerto Rico, January 6, 2007. Greg Gibson's a globe-trotting fly fisherman. He's chased everything from northern pike in Manitoba to bonefish in the Bahamas. But here in the Caribbean, Greg has one goal. A catch-and-release angler, Greg wants to land a titanic tarpon on a fly.
The challenge that the tarpon brings
not only the initial hookup, which is by far the most exciting, but to get a fish over 100 pounds into the boat with a fly line is, I think, just an achievement.
Greg's fearsome flying adversary? Meet the tarpon. In the choice of fight or flight, these aerial whoppers take flight to new heights. To avoid predator attacks, these acrobats cut through the sky like stealth bombers, landing where their opponents least expect them.
If you have a predator which is in the water, probably the safest place to be is out of the water. So the ability to jump out of the water, to move to some other location that maybe the predator can't see where you're going is a real advantage.
Nicknamed the Silver King for their shimmering scales, tarpon grow massive, over 2 meters long and nearly 140 kilos. And when it comes to flying, tarpon can soar up to 3 meters out of the water. These leaping beasts have an air-breathing advantage. Like the intake on a jet engine, a modified swim bladder draws in outside air, allowing tarpon to keep breathing and hunting in shallow, low-oxygen environments where other fish die.
There's actually a tiny duct that connects the swim bladder to the gut. Now that's a real advantage for the tarpon because what it means is it could also potentially use that swim bladder as sort of a lung and get extra oxygen.
And one thing's certain, for any angler who dares to battle these flying fish in the flesh, hooked tarpon fight back in a leaping, epic fight to the finish.
When he comes out of the water, he's twisting and turning his body in every direction, and he's maybe 5 or 6 feet out of the water. It's an explosion.
Oh my, I got that, dude.
Here in Puerto Real Bay, Greg teams up with local tarpon guide Francisco Pochi Rosario.
Hey, Senor Pochi, Greg, mi amigo, how are you?
So renowned, he's nicknamed the Tarpon Hombre.
Catching a big tarpon or fly is like a holy grail for the fly fishing angler. What you try to do all your life.
Speeding out, Pochi heads toward a nearby tarpon hangout. As his guide anchors the boat, Greg warms up with a few casts.
Hopefully we can catch a big one, a couple of them. I'm a lucky fisherman. I guarantee you we're gonna hook some tarpon.
Oh, tarpon right behind the boat, right behind the boat, right behind the boat.
How far?
Big fish.
Suddenly, Pochi spots a group of tarpon.
Right there, man.
He calls out to Greg.
Right side, right there, about 75 feet.
Greg focuses hard.
There we go.
Casts his fly. And misses. Quickly reeling in, Greg repositions and casts again. In a burst, the fish leaps from the water and snatches the fly. It's huge.
When he came out of the water the first time, it's when we realized this is a very, very big fish. Then the anxiety starts kicking in, is can I hold on to this thing?
Oh, yeah, he's strong. Yeah, man.
I saw the fish and I said, Greg, oh, Greg, you have a lifetime fish.
Greg widens his stance and braces himself, waiting for the tarpon to take flight once again.
Can't get over how strong he is, man. He has just got me doubled over here.
In a rush, the fish jumps and thrashes, flashing its signature silver scales. Greg knows the battle's just begun.
And then it's just hanging on, because as soon as they take the fly and they realize they're hooked, they start dancing on top of the water, coming out of the water, and trying to do everything in their power to get off.
trying to shake free, the fish jumps again and again. Each leap seems higher than the last, and Greg is struggling just to stay in the fight.
When a tarpon jumps, they call it bowing to the king. You need to bow your body and your line and keep it low to the water so he can't spit the fly out.
The tug of war rages for a back-breaking 2 hours. Exhausted, Greg's whole body's sore, but he refuses to quit.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Then, the fish shows the first sign of fatigue, surfacing for air.
When they come up to the surface, you have a sense of relief that things are getting closer and we might be able to get this fish into the boat here soon.
But it's not over yet. In a back-breaking 2-hour fight to the finish, expert fly angler Greg Gibson struggles to reel a whopper-sized fighting tarpon to his boat. Refusing to give up, the beast dives back down. Greg's amazed by the tarpon's tenacity, but he's just as determined. He gathers his strength and gives a forceful pull. In an instant, the fish appears next to the boat.
Okay, Greg, the fish.
Greg's got it.
Okay, I got him right here. Okay, got him. Okay,
Leaning down, the angler can't believe his eyes.
The one thing I noticed right away when we got the fish close to the boat was the enormous size of his head and the size of his eyes. It was just incredible. I just was in awe.
Give me the leader. Give me the leader.
Time is critical. Greg and fishing guide Pochi Rosario want to measure the fish before releasing the animal alive.
You can just feel the strength of this fish. Even after a 2-hour and 20-minute fight, the fish, just picking him up, he's just nothing but muscle.
Grabbing hold of the beast with a massive heave, the two anglers manage to land it. At last, the monster tarpon's in the boat. At more than 2 meters long, 1 meter around, and an estimated 100 kilos, the whopper's nearly bigger than both Pochi and Greg.
It was unbelievable. Hold it and take the photo and everything that, take the measure and everything.
We've had a thrill of a lifetime with this fish, and now we want to make sure that we release it alive.
To protect species survival, Puerto Rican regulations stipulate all anglers must release tarpon back where they came from. Greg carefully lowers the fish into the water and holds it while Pochi gets the boat cruising. Running water through the gills delivers reviving oxygen. Finally, with a push, the titanic tarpon swims off. For Greg, it's a fly fishing catch and release of a career.
We saw him swimming down into the deeps of the water, head down, tail up, and there's a sense of accomplishment there.
Across an ocean, when other whoppers take flight, they're like seafaring stunt pilots. Deep in the Pacific, when spinner dolphins rocket into the sky, some speculate their splashdown is designed to shake off pesky parasites called remorse. Unwelcome passengers trying to catch a free ride on a dolphin's back. Yet, when it comes to physical finesse, dolphins have some stiff competition. In another flying fish lair, combine aeronautics with aggression, and you have these fearsome and ferocious killers. Apex predators who push their lethal leaps to the frightening limit. The last thing unlucky prey sees before death. The mako shark.
As mako sharks leap from the water, they're going to come out sort of almost like a missile. These animals may actually do flips as they're coming out. They may actually roll.
stretching longer than 3 meters, weighing nearly half a ton. Thanks to a combination of brutal weaponry and blazing fast speed, mako sharks reach petrifying proportions. Row upon row of razor-sharp, dagger-like teeth allow makos to bite into big meals. But it's their sleek hydrodynamic shape and powerful propulsion system that lets them catch up to almost any kill.
Mako sharks patrol through the water until they encounter a fish, and then they will just use their burst of speed to attack.
In and out of water, mako bodies are built for the high-speed hunt. Tendons connect masses of oxygen-rich muscle tissue to a sickle-shaped tail fin. Rhythmic contractions work like pistons, generating powerful thrust to catapult makos to high speed and high altitude.
You need all that force, all that thrust, in order to drive the animal through the surface of the water and up to the heights that it can attain.
And their flight plan is terrifying. Makos scout victims swimming above them and kill from underneath. Shooting upwards, clamping onto prey at maximum velocity, they break the surface in stunning and deadly displays.
These animals have been known to leap out of the water as far as 15 to 20 feet above the water surface, which is fairly incredible for any animal.
Fishermen battling these ferocious flying whoppers know, hook a mako and you're in for one of the wildest rides in the ocean.
They're incredible fighters, and they jump. When they run 300 yards out and do a double backflip 15 feet out of the air, and that's what it's all about.
San Diego, California, August 27, 2006. Believed to be a mako shark breeding ground, this bayside nursery is home to juvenile sharks. Anglers flock to catch these small-scale jumpers, but few dare to battle the largest mako on Earth, nicknamed by anglers as a Big Mama. Yet for avid fisherman Brendan Mason and Captain Dave Trimble, it's the ultimate challenge, a mighty mako caught on a fly.
I first came to San Diego to try to fish for mako sharks because I had heard about the fishery here, and I just wanted to give it a shot.
Steaming out to a prime spot, Dave drops a bait bucket filled with oily fish. Like a deep-sea dinner bell, hungry sharks within hundreds of meters can smell the tempting feast. At first, no luck.
It started out slow, and it seemed like it might be a bust.
Then,
oh, look at the chum slick. Here one comes, man. Right there.
The strategy works. Captain Dave spots a mako cruising in.
We need the biggest frog you got, man.
Brendan gets ready to cast. Until something goes wrong. The shark suddenly disappears. Baffled, the men scan the water.
Hey, where'd it go? I don't see it.
Wondering what spooked the shark.
Hey, where'd it go?
Oh my gosh, look at that one.
Then they see it. A massive fin just meters from the boat. They can only imagine the size of the beast below. A mako, bigger than any they've ever seen.
Everybody kind of just froze for a second, and we realized what we had to deal with.
All of us on board were just kind of shocked. You know, sitting there with our jaws open.
And even more shocking, the behemoth shark is moving directly towards them. Suddenly, in a blur of jaws and teeth, it bites down, shattering the floating bait bucket.
It was actually creepy to watch because its teeth would come out and its eyes would roll back in its head and it would just crush the bucket and you'd hear plastic snapping.
And it gets scarier. Finished with the bucket, the hunting shark now begins bearing down on the boat.
As its mouth opened up and its lips curled back and its teeth came out and it started to chew on the motor, I was wondering if the motor could take it at that point because of the pressure of the jaws.
In a frenzy, the mako gnaws repeatedly at the engine. Stuck in shark-infested waters, the men pray the ship will hold, and the shark won't go after bigger prey. Acting quickly, Brendan casts his fly, hoping to lure the biting mako away from the boat. Success. In a flash, the fish whips its head and chomps down.
You ate it, yes, we got him.
But the hook only agitates the mako more. As Brendan sets the fly, the whopper shark shoots from the water. The men hold their breath as the mako flips a full 360 degrees before diving back down.
They don't just jump and fall back in the water. They actually flip, and a lot of times they're going head first back in, right where they came out.
To see a fish that big come completely out of the water, inverted and doing a backflip is something real special. A lot of people don't get to witness something like that.
Now, as the shark pulls the boat, each powerful run ends in a stunning aerial display.
We could see this shark jumping way off in the distance. It made probably 5 or 6 jumps in a row, coming completely out of the water, doing backflips.
For Brendan, still hooked to the charging flying beast, the fight is on. The angler uses all his strength to hold on to the rod, trying to keep up and stay rooted on deck. He prays the tug-of-war will end before his body gives out.
In that type of fight, really, the thing that keeps you going is knowing that you're fighting what could easily be the biggest fish you're ever going to catch in your life. And you just can't quit.
Angler Brendan Mason's in the fight of his life against a massive flying mako shark. After battling a grueling 40 minutes, as the mako starts to tire, the fish's leaps grow fewer and far between. Brendan's fishing buddy Dave pushes Brendan to hang on a little longer and reel the beast to the boat. But Brendan's feeling the strain. Using the last of his energy, he gives a powerful yank and gets the shark up close. He's finally face to face with his mammoth mako. Looking down on the super specimen, the anglers can't believe their eyes. They estimate the mako's a staggering 3.5 meters long, weighing over 270 kilos, a possible world record fly catch, if they bring the shark to shore. Yet both men are committed to catch and release, and they know the sooner they set the mako free, the better its chances of survival. To save the shark, the men quickly cut the line, and their chance at a world record. They watch as the mighty beast kicks its tail and swims away.
The feeling as I was cutting the wire is undescribable. It was probably the biggest fish in the world ever caught and released on fly tackle.
The most epic fishing trip I've ever been on.
Right on, man. Yeah, got him, man. Good work, man.
For Brendan, the biggest thrill of the day is knowing his mako is still swimming and repopulating in the wild.
I practice catch and release almost exclusively. I think it's really important, especially in a place like San Diego where the mako sharks come to breed. It's like a nursery for sharks, and it's probably also one of the places where they're most susceptible to overfishing.
But a world away, some flying species are the ultimate gravity-defying group, the hatchetfish. In Brazil's Amazon River, when hatchetfish sense an approaching predator, they fling themselves to safety in the air, launching over 3 meters above the surface. For a hatchetfish school, changing location could mean the difference between life and becoming another fish's dinner. Yet a different flying fish works under the motto, one for all. Across a continent, another flying fish haven lures fishermen to battle. And for one team of brothers, going up against a mammoth beast pushes them to the edge of endurance. Fraser River, British Columbia, August 19, 2007. Brothers Mike and Gino DiDomenico book a weekend fishing trip with Captain Brian McKinley. Their plan is to catch wild salmon, but Captain Brian convinces the men to go for a far more elusive and extraordinary challenge: white sturgeon.
I had seen sturgeon before and I knew how big they got, and I was excited.
White sturgeon are a formidable flying adversary. Flying is in their DNA. Incredibly, these lone fish pilots soar to save their own species. Some believe these leaping leviathans are masters of in-flight communication, conveying life-saving coordinates by taking to the air. Monster sturgeon can stretch longer than a surfboard, over 3 meters, topping the scales at well over half a ton. Killers since the Cretaceous period, 100 million years ago, sturgeon are prehistoric survivors. Healthy sturgeon are born flyers. They're packed with white muscle, tough tissue that works like an afterburner. At peak performance, white muscle allows sturgeon to launch their huge girth clear out of the water, reaching 6 feet.
You can imagine trying to drag in, an 8-foot sturgeon that is sideways, that is flailing. It's going to make for a great fight, a difficult fight. It's just a huge pull on you.
But unlike other flying monsters, bottom-feeding predator-free sturgeon don't leap to corral prey or avoid danger. Instead, one theory suggests they jump to communicate. Some experts believe sturgeon use flying leaps to mark their territory, like GPS tracking, alerting other sturgeon to the location of deep water, prized sturgeon feeding ground. Yet no matter why they jump, one thing's certain: once hooked, sturgeon take off.
It's like watching a missile come out of the river, just head first, and then straight up, twisting in the air. You can't describe it.
Even for skilled fishermen like the DiDomenicos, flying sturgeon are no easy catch. Now, Captain Brian searches for deep pockets in the river floor where these bottom feeders hunt their favorite prey. The Fraser River was once brimming with giant sturgeon, but overfishing and habitat loss have taken their toll. Today, white sturgeon angling is exclusively catch and release. Finding just the right spot, the men drop anchor. After some baiting tips from Captain Brian,
One hook through the side and out the back. Swing it all the way back.
The two anglers cast into the river.
Yeah, tight. Perfect.
But in the murky waters, there's zero visibility.
You don't see what's in the water. You're hunting something you don't see.
Suddenly, Gino's rod starts spinning. He's got a bite. Clutching hard, Gino lurches forward, struggling to keep his hold on the pole. The fish is a pulling machine, and it's headed straight for the bottom depths.
The pole kind of feels like you're holding a bus off a skyscraper with a rope.
Gino does his best to hang on.
Yeah, I got a pretty good one there, man. Yeah.
Then, in a sudden burst, the fish leaps from the water.
That's a big fish.
The brothers are stunned. It's a whopper white sturgeon. And it hits back down in the water with an ear-stinging splash.
Nice, I got it. Got it on video.
We saw the underbelly, which was all white. Kind of looked like when a shark jumps out of the water, and it was shocking.
When it first came out of the water, it was kind of like watching a sea monster. It was massive. It was nothing I've ever seen before.
Gino's blown away by the sturgeon's strength, in and above water. As he grips the rod, the fish makes another leap. Plunging back down, deep like a crushing weight. Exhausted from the strain, Gino's arms are almost numb. Mike sees his brother struggling and rushes to help.
Yeah, take a turn.
You got it?
Yeah.
Mike grabs the pole, taking on the next round.
Half of me was passing it on because he needed to feel the pull.
Yeah, this is bigger than I thought.
And the other half of it was because I was exhausted and I didn't think I could hold on that much longer.
I don't feel like I have anything. I feel like this guy's got me.
Each time the anglers feel their arms about to give out,
My back's hurting.
they pass the rod. After this tag team tug of war, the sturgeon starts to slow down. Gino marshals his strength for the final pull, praying he can reel in the flying beast. Brothers Mike and Gino DiDomenico are deep in a tag team tug of war, battling a whopper flying white sturgeon.
Yeah, this is bigger than I thought.
In a rush, the sturgeon rises to the surface.
I've never seen anything so big in my life.
The DiDomenico brothers finally see their supersized opponent face to face.
I mean, my jaw was on the floor and trying to figure out how we're gonna get this thing on the boat.
It takes every last deckhand to heft the hulking beast. At last, with a heave, they've got it.
Oh, that looks like about an 8-footer there, 7-8-footer.
Victorious, the men measure the monster at over 2 meters long and an estimated 90+ kilos.
It was an accomplishment. There was some pride and it felt good.
Snapping a fast photo, they waste no time releasing the fish back to its lair.
After having pulled it in, I initially called everybody I knew my cell phone just to tell people that I just caught a monster.
Come up. Oh my God. That's a big fish.
But in another flying fish habitat, a soaring creature seems to defy its own species. In Baja, Mexico, stalking the Sea of Cortez, bizarre, flattened beasts sail out of the water, looking more like birds than fish. Known as mobula rays, scientists believe surface swimming helps mobulas corral their prey. Then, to finish the job, they power through the air like flying birds, reaching nearly 2 meters above the surface, landing with predator precision. Like the mobulas, other rays can fly. But only one mammoth beast trumps them all. Majestic and monstrous, for them, the same principles of aerodynamics become hydrodynamics. Unlike any other creature on Earth, these seaborne stalkers literally soar through the ocean. The giant manta ray. And for one team of scientists, wrangling the giant manta barehanded is the ultimate challenge of man versus flying beast. Sea of Cortez, Mexico, November 2nd, 2003. Dr. Robert Rubin is one of the world's leading experts studying giant mantas. He's determined to bring these incredible ocean flyers back from the brink of overfished extinction.
Just as long as it clears the underside of the boat. Right. Yeah, so
Robert and his research associate Gavin Chilcott are prepping an expedition to a remote group of volcanic islands over 500 kilometers southwest of Cabo San Lucas, nicknamed Mexico's Galapagos. It's one of the few spots in the world where researchers can monitor some of the biggest manta rays on the planet. The team travels a full day to reach the islands, but their work's just begun. Robert and Gavin want to uncover data about the rays' behavior and migration. To do it, they've got to make prolonged dives, and attach sound-emitting tracking devices called acoustic tags to the biggest rays they can find.
These are the receivers for the listening stations. They'll place underwater. They'll be anchored to the seafloor, suspended by a float. This portion is the receiver.
To tag these elusive creatures, Robert often has to make as many as 12 attempts in shark-infested waters.
Going into a trip like this, there's a lot of uncertainty as to how well everything's going to work.
Their target, a truly otherworldly beast. At 1.5 tons, giant mantas look like flying saucers out of science fiction.
Mantas are among the largest animals in the sea, and they certainly are the largest ray. They're a little bit bigger than a two-car garage, from wingtip to wingtip.
Gliding through the water, wing-like pectoral fins can stretch more than 6 meters, muscling mantas across miles of ocean. But make no mistake, giant mantas can be as flexible as flying acrobats.
You'd barely imagine until you see them twisting barrel rolls and maneuvering around in tight circumstances. They're actually quite agile.
Though generally considered harmless to humans, for a team of researchers determined to tag them, tangling with these titanic beasts can quickly turn hazardous. Now, preparing to plunge to their whopper target, the team suits up.
All right, are we ready? Let's go.
Diving down, they first attach a sonar receiver to a reef. This listening device will monitor the tag ray's location and activity. With the receiver in place, Robert and Gavin head to where they know mantas hang out, hotspots dubbed the cleaning stations.
The fish rise up out of the reef and move all over the animals, cleaning parasites into their gills, into their mouths.
Working underwater is more than challenging. It's dangerous. Burdened with heavy equipment, Robert and Gavin must navigate strong currents, and they're always on the lookout for hungry hunters.
There's a lot of sharks around all the time when you're working on the mantas. And so it helps to have another person there looking over your shoulder for you.
Robert sets up on a rock plateau and scans the ocean for a monster manta. He spots a large ray approaching. He checks his tagging gun and swims towards the beast.
Maneuvering to get close enough to a ray to deploy a tag is a little bit of a dance, I think, with the animal.
Robert has to get as close as possible, at least 1 to 2 meters directly over the fast-moving fish. Even then, hitting the tagging sweet spot, the middle of the ray's lower back, requires extreme precision. Robert fires and misses. The ray flies away. Robert only has a limited number of tags and air. He quickly resets and waits for another ray. The longer the tagging process takes, the greater the risk of spooking the mantas out of reach. Robert spots a huge ray approaching. This time, he pursues, fires, and hits it.
The scales on the animal are arranged like shingles on a roof. If you place it in the correct spot at the right angle, it's just like putting a very sharp knife into butter.
The tag is in. Looking at his handiwork, Robert's perfectly snagged a 4.5-meter wide giant manta ray. Now, as the flying fish swims through the ocean, it can collect and transmit invaluable species-saving information. Mission accomplished.
90% of what I do is generated from just loving every moment, and they are magical beyond belief. I can't think of anything I'd rather do, day in or day out, ever.
Leaping, soaring, taking to the sky like aerial masters. Whether fighting for survival or hunting their next meal, they're the most extraordinary flyers of our rivers and oceans. And for science and sport, each unforgettable encounter brings us closer to hooked flying monsters.
Oh my God, oh my God. You better get ready to grab this tail. Get over here, get over here.
The fearless, fighting, catfish-grabbing Okie noodlers are back. Daring an extreme expedition overseas. Wrestling one of the biggest freshwater fish on the planet.
I think he's trying to tell me I'm crazy.
A monster Wells catfish.
Look again.
Plus, taking on the ocean's legendary predators. Tagging nurse sharks and lemon sharks barehanded.
Is he fighting? Hit him, hit him.
And battling a real-life Moby Dick with handmade weapons. It's primal, intense, and death-defying. And it doesn't take a rod and reel. Get ready for more pulse-racing face-offs of extreme fisherman versus beast on Hooked Extreme Noodling.
Yeah!
The world's mightiest whoppers. To some adventure anglers, the only way to catch them is to get up close and personal, taking them on by hand. Some call them fanatics, others call them insane. But they're determined to battle some of the most powerful creatures of the deep.
Where is it?
Risking life and limb.
Easy, easy, easy.
Catfish noodling. A primal showdown of man versus beast. A dangerous ancient art. Some obsessed fishermen body wrestle some of the biggest river fish on Earth, using only their limbs as a lure. It's no pain, no gain.
Noodling actually combines the art of hunting and fishing all rolled into one. It's you one-on-one against Mother Nature. That's a nice one.
And now, for the first time ever, one of noodling's living legends is heading all the way to Spain to match his master skills against a notorious river monster with its own legendary reputation, the Wells catfish.
I've been reading about the Wells catfish for years in magazines and stuff, and always said, you know, depending on what's in the water, whether or not it'd be safe enough to get in a noodle. Finally, I said, I'm hooked. Let's go. I'm up. I'm game.
Over decades of barehanded fishing, cigar-toting Oklahoma native Lee McFarland has wrangled some huge catfish called flatheads, slimy specimens rarely exceeding 22 kilograms. But now, he's determined to score the ultimate whopper.
How's that one? A 100-pounder, nobody's ever done that we know of. I want one.
His chosen monster opponent, a continent's biggest river beast, the European Wells catfish, reportedly able to reach 3 times the weight of an average noodler, so fierce and fabled, it's known to attack humans. Yet Lee McFarland is undeterred.
If I die doing it, I'm doing something I've loved. I don't want to look back on life and say, what if? You know, I want to know I've done everything I could.
But for Lee to meet a Wells face-to-face, he's got to go overseas for the first time in his life. In just a few weeks, Lee's embarking on an expedition deep into Wells' spawning country. Even for an experienced noodler, it's a dangerous mission, taking on a massive biting predator. For the trip, Lee's assembled a dream team of fellow catfish wrestlers. including his best friend and cousin, Mark.
You won't be worth it.
Came up to me and asked me about Spain. I thought, do what? You serious? No, if he was interested, I was interested.
Me and him's tag team together. We've been doing it since we was 13 years old. We know what each other's thinking. We know what each other's move is before we do it.
And for the battle against the whales, Lee's recruited a secret weapon. At 2 meters tall, weighing in at 127 kilograms, Big Josh Garcia brings serious muscle.
He calls me Big Indian because big and I'm Indian, and so I can block the deeper holes that other people can't. Over there, those suckers are monsters. I know I'm gonna grab that fish and hug him, bear hug him as tight as I can and make sure he don't go nowhere, hurt anybody.
I don't know, from what I heard, they'll grab you. Might not have no choice in the matter. I just hope they don't spin a lot. That's the worst case scenario. Get a 200-pound fish spinning, you might not be able to stop him. He might take the whole arm with him.
And beyond spinning, the noodlers may face bigger dangers, taking on a fabled man-eater. The whale's notorious reputation makes headlines. River bathers describe a hulking fish with a gaping mouth, biting at their legs and feet. Attacking whales have left gashes, bruises, and abrasions, sending victims to the hospital. Few river fish inspire such fear. Whales have even been accused of swallowing children whole.
There are stories of it picking up people out of the water, grabbing children and adolescents out of the water after having gotten this taste for human flesh. Whether or not that's true or not, who knows?
Like a flathead catfish on steroids, whales can stretch up to 3 meters and have been purported to weigh a staggering 303 kilograms. These lumbering bottom dwellers have a powerful tail fin that propels them through the water like darting battleships. 2 long rows of teeth line a cavernous and ravenous mouth. Yet many wonder why such a successful predator would harass humans. A terrifying theory may turn noodling of whales into a suicide mission. Experts believe there's only one motive behind a whale's attack. The fish are defending their eggs, and a noodler's entire strategy is to reach into the nest.
So the male's sitting in the hole, guarding his eggs, and suddenly something comes in to the hole. Well, if you're a male guarding your eggs and something comes near them, then you move it out of the way. One thing to remember is nobody has ever pulled a person out of a catfish and recorded it. But this may be the first time.
With friends, family, and his noodling mentor father, Lee examines his whale's adversary up close.
Oh, yeah. 205 pounds. Woo! Nice. Look at that. Hell, they're exactly like ours.
Except that bottom fin. That bottom fin.
He's got the same back fin, same side fins. Whiskers are on top. Bottom lip sticks out.
That back fin, though, when it comes out of the belly, goes all the way to the tail like an eel.
Oh, I see.
So he's 10 times more powerful in the thrust.
I worry about it because he's the type, he don't know when to let go. I'm afraid he'd allow me to take her.
The weekend of the trip arrives. The team is confident they're ready for the toughest noodling challenge ever.
Would you go wrestle one?
Determined to take on a true river behemoth, driven by the quest of a noodling world record.
I mean, I'm gonna feel like I just won the Olympic gold. You know, the biggest fish and somebody doing something nobody else has done. I've set a trend. I've set a record. See you when I get back.
I will. Good luck.
We're gonna need it.
Yeah, what you want on your tombstone?
See you in Spain. Look out for us. Why not be a frontier? Call me Lewis and Clark. I'll be Lewis, he'll be Clark. And Josh will be Sacagawea. Spain, here we come.
Look out.
Look out, Wales.
The Oki noodlers are on their way to Spain with dreams of unfamiliar rivers and gargantuan catfish. Thousands of miles from their home turf in Oklahoma, the world's most experienced noodling team is ready to risk life and limb against one of the most formidable river beasts on Earth. Their mission? Score a record Wells catfish caught barehanded.
Just can't get over that.
It looks like a catfish right here instead of a dragon. Then it's got the eel-like tail.
It's a Wells catfish.
Yeah, there you go.
Teeth on that thing. You don't see that every day, not in Oklahoma.
Try practicing noodling that. See what happens.
He got a little more teeth and bigger teeth than catfish.
Spain's Ebro River, 250 kilometers outside Barcelona. Accustomed to noodling waters they know by sight and feel, Lee McFarland and his fellow noodlers face unknown terrain.
Nearly run out of petrol driving up here.
To find their ultimate target, the team needs help uncovering the Wells catfish's favorite hideouts.
We're going to have a little look now at some of the areas that we're going to go to by boat.
Experienced fishing guide Stephen Buss takes the men out for reconnaissance.
Some of the natural areas for where they spawn, so and they'll be around that area pretty much all of the year.
When we're doing it, when we're getting wet.
I suppose once you've tried it, you know, you get your experience, that's where you get your bravery from, but I don't know, it's mad. I mean, I just can't wait to see it, really.
The team arrives at a known Wells spawning spot.
Yeah,
it's time for their first ever noodling challenge on foreign soil.
Think there's any catfish in this water?
We're gonna find out.
Immediately, Lee's veteran instincts kick in.
That's what I was looking at. That right there is like, that's what we noodle in Oklahoma, that stuff right there.
You know, you can noodle to your heart's content along this little bit of margin as well.
For this sport, Spain's spawning season offers a noodler's perfect storm. Rocky terrain, biting fish, and deep hidden lairs. From spring to summer, beneath these muddy waters, adult catfish fiercely defend new clutches of fertilized eggs, battling and chomping down on anything that comes near them. The noodler's mission? Find a nest big enough to hold a giant Wells catfish. Reach in and get bitten. Against Europe's largest catfish, the men know risks are high and precautions are vital.
I want one to tie from me to these guys, and then I'm wanting one to use for the fish. And this way, if the fish gets a hold of me, at least these two guys can pull me back.
I was more worried about your safety, so these were going to be for tying around your ankles. Just in case you bump into like a 150 or a 170 or you know, or could be bigger, you know.
Right there on the side. It's kind of mushy. Is it mushy in there? I'm looking for these tubes coming out of this.
For the first time in this extreme American sport, a hunt for a European monster is on.
Let's go try that pump down there. This mush, hell, you sink in at 6 inches. There any rocks up that way? Yeah, but not big enough.
You know, it's almost like a joke sport to us. We sort of can't believe that anglers would go underwater and sort of secure their catch with their bare hands.
Look in them tubes there, and they're just solid mud, but too mushy. I'm thinking about going over, he said the main channel's over there. I was wondering about that peninsula over there with all them big rocks over it. You said there's a ledge on this side?
Yeah, just on
a rock ledge?
Parallel with the island.
On foot and in boats, the unfamiliar terrain requires constant surveillance. The men wade through the water, scour the landscape, and travel the length of the river in search of spawning wells.
That right there is what we're looking for, something like that. Out in the water. Take 3 of you to block that.
If we can find that right out here, we'll be in the ballpark then.
Smaller catfish find lairs more easily than mammoth whales. In search of these river whoppers, the team looks for the mother of all hiding holes.
I don't know. We just gotta keep looking.
How many miles of river have you checked?
Frustrated after hours searching with no luck, the team gives up, but only for now.
We just gotta go look somewhere else.
Back on dry land, the noodlers head to the next location, hoping locals can offer catch and life-saving advice.
Cuidado, amigo, que los peces son malos, eh.
They don't bite too bad.
Yo no. Oh, son grandes, hay de todo, pero hay unos que son grandes.
Language barrier, I'm lost. I'm just like, what? What's that mean?
Sí.
Por favor.
¿Qué tal?
Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto. You want to go catch one? That's why I needed an interpreter, because I don't understand it.
¿Pescar silurios con la mano? No.
Why?
No. ¿Por qué no? Porque es de locos esto, hombre.
If I had a little more time, I'd love to learn the language, you know, so I can at least know whether they're cussing me out or telling me I was nuts.
No hay nadie que pesque silurios con la mano. Es de locos esto.
I think he's trying to tell me I'm crazy. He thinks we done lost our mind, huh? The loco?
Beneath a bridge several kilometers downriver, the men spot a promising rock formation.
See, that looks good. If they're hollow, that'd work real good, those tubes.
They zero in for a closer look.
I can feel the groove right there. Okay, go around and see if there's one over there, because this is like a tunnel going through here.
We found a nice little ledge, a big sort of plate of concrete maybe, a good sort of cavity underneath.
God, that feels like it ought to hold one. Am I hitting you? Not yet.
I'm sure if there's any fish down there, then these guys are going to bump into them.
I did catch me a Spaniard crosshat.
Thousands of kilometers from home, the hand fishermen bring with them over half a century of combined expertise.
Oh, fish. Oh, rock or something. It's a rock.
But is the elusive Wells catfish too great an adversary, even for a noodling dream team?
I came this far to catch great big fish. I'm not giving up yet. We got to do something. Keep looking. Get disgusted, but I'm got to keep going.
Back across the Atlantic, it's an extreme bare-handed fishing challenge to help save a species. A group of young scientists dare to grab, wrestle, and tag two of the world's most dangerous ocean predators by hand. Bimini Island, Bahamas. Over 80 kilometers off the east coast of Florida, this tiny, isolated atoll is one of the world's most fertile breeding grounds for sharks. For nearly 2 decades, Dr. Samuel Gruber has run Bimini's famous Shark Lab. Shark Lab attracts a courageous young staff ready to risk their lives to help keep threatened predators hunting the deep.
4 people in each room.
The Bimini Biological Field Station is built around the volunteers and the staff who are young scientific shark fanatics.
Two formidable apex predators who call the waters of Shark Lab home: the nurse shark and the lemon shark.
I had about a lemon shark as big as, I'd say, about a 7-footer take my hand in its mouth and decide whether he wanted to do anything with it. So I typically say I let my graduate students get bitten and I just sort of step back and watch it.
Record-setting lemons have stretched nearly 4 meters, weighing over 180 kilograms. Though they can survive in captivity, where other alpha shark species like the great white die, lemons are far from tame. Armed with a mouthful of triangular, cutting teeth, even a juvenile can inflict nasty wounds.
We'll stand here and let the sharks come up to us. And then what I'll do is once I get them excited, I'll do this and the shark will follow that. I'll let him have it and then grab him. So we don't have to do much to get them to us. The bait does that. This guy is going to come get it right here.
Handling these toothy specimens requires careful practice and training.
Here we go. Whoa.
Doc Gruber keeps a stable of young sharks in a pen to teach his scientific protégés the do's and deadly don'ts of shark grabbing.
Okay, yep, I got one. This is a little baby lemon shark. This is a male. You can tell by these little extensions by his fin, and this little guy is not happy. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put him to sleep right now. I'm gonna put him to sleep. All right, come on, guy. All right, now to put him to sleep, I simply turn him over. It takes a couple of seconds, and he goes to sleep. Okay, there, that's cool, he's asleep. 2 fingers.
Today, Shark Lab plans to tackle their most dangerous but critical species-saving missions. Tagging 2 separate predators with radio tracking devices. Data on shark populations and migration patterns help scientists protect these apex predators in an ecosystem under siege. One mission requires a free dive in shark-infested waters. The other, a one-on-one wrestling match of man versus monster predator.
Okay, gang, what we have to do now today, we've got to get at least 1 lemon shark. We need to put a transmitter on it. We don't want to get anybody bitten, and it's got to be scientist 2, shark 0.
The team heads into the bay in search of a full-grown natural assassin. It's a lemon shark chase down. The method is bold and dangerous. To insert a radio tracking tag, the team plans to taunt and corral a lemon shark, ultimately grabbing it with their bare hands.
You guys haven't seen anything yet, huh?
But don't try this at home.
You got him over there, he's on the port. To your port, to your port.
Suddenly, something large and gray passes underneath.
Oh, he's coming towards us, on the left, on the left.
It's a huge lemon shark.
Straight off the bow!
We'll chase it until it basically gets sick of being chased, and it turns around and will bite us.
Most fishermen would leave the dangerous beast alone. But for the Shark Lab team, they've got their target in sight. The chase has just begun.
Keep your eye on them.
They want to exhaust it so they can get within striking distance. Incredibly, their goal is to agitate the shark and become its target.
Sean's on the bow of the boat, you know, completely unbalanced, and if we ever hit the bottom or anything, he goes flying off right onto the shark's back. What he's trying to do is not net the shark, but actually hit it, so it turns around and bites the net.
On it, he's on it, he's on it, he's on it.
Where is it? Behind me.
He's right here, he's right here.
Okay. All right, get it. Yep. No, don't
Still on him?
No.
He's right here.
Where is he?
He's on that side.
The first attempt is lost. The team keeps up the chase.
Okay. Tell me if I should jump. Say jump and I'll get out. You better watch this. He might bite me. Come on, hit him hard.
Then, success.
Keep hitting him. Is he biting?
He's on it, he's on it, he's on it.
The shark bites down hard. Doc Gruber approaches the thrashing fish. The maneuver's extremely risky. He's wrangling an alpha predator face to face. Up close, the team uses the net poles to corral the nearly 2-meter-long shark.
In front of his head.
And Doc quickly grabs the tail.
That's it.
When a shark is tired,
Oh, it's too close.
Its behavior is dangerously unpredictable.
If you don't watch yourself, you can get killed. These things could grab you in the thigh and you'd bleed to death in 30 seconds.
So we can see the shark.
Doc Gruber's got to move fast.
They're fine when you leave them alone. If you mess with them, they hold a grudge. They will sit there very quietly, and while you're not looking, boom, they'll jump right up there and they'll bite you.
He quickly works to put the shark into a catatonic state called tonic immobility, which some believe exploits a shark's defensive reflex to play dead. This allows scientists to measure, tag, and even perform life-saving surgery.
The other paddle. Get the other paddle.
Doc Gruber wants to insert a radio tracking tag, but the shark needs time to recover and rest. A buoyancy balloon keeps her afloat while the team waits to insert the tag.
My concern about this shark is that we've got to let him go on this rope and swim around so he gets his breath back. What we do with these sharks may look heartless and mean, but really, you have to annoy a few of these sharks to maybe save all of them. Everybody let everything go. We set him on.
But after monitoring the shark for several minutes, Doc Gruber makes a critical decision to forego tagging. The summer heat has weakened the shark too much to continue.
The water is very hot now, and these sharks are overheated and they're stressed.
While the team helps the shark recover, they use the time to quickly gather valuable data.
Basically, we'll go down to them, we'll cut a little piece of fin off for DNA, and we'll take a measurement. We'll keep a crew here hanging around till they swim off. This one's already tried to swim off.
The divers swim with the exhausted animal to help move water through its gills.
When he tries to turn to shore, try to keep him going straight offshore. Sean, let him swim on his own.
Though the team's tagging mission has taken an unexpected turn, they've gathered priceless conservation data. And for the Shark Lab, the day's work isn't over yet. Shark Lab team members Sean and Jim have another task. Find a nurse shark and bring it to the surface, bare-handed.
Nurse sharks, pound for pound, they're probably one of the strongest sharks out there. So bear hugging a 9-foot nurse shark might not be the smartest idea, but some of the smaller ones I could get away with it.
Old as dinosaurs, nurse sharks are true prehistoric predators, able to grow just over 4 meters long, weighing more than 130 kilograms. 2 dangling feelers called nasal barbels enable these notorious hunters to stalk their prey before slurping it down. The nurse shark's giant throat cavity sucks in victims like a vacuum, raking meals across hundreds of flesh-shredding, serrated teeth. Sean and Jim are anchored off a large coral reef, a popular nurse shark hiding place. Scanning the bottom, Jim spots their target.
John, there's one over here.
Sean freedives 6 meters to survey the scene. He sees it. The notoriously tough predator is just under 1 meter long and wedged under the reef. This capture will be no easy task. After one last gulp of air, Sean approaches cautiously, armed with only a lasso. The diver strains to hold his breath and reaches from an awkward angle. The second he makes contact, the situation can turn dangerous fast. As predicted, the shark reacts violently. The thrashing predator snaps out at the rope, the divers, anything in reach. The two men grapple with the agitated predator, keeping just enough distance to avoid the vacuum suction of its mouth.
It's thrashing around, it's trying to get away from you, so you grab it in one spot, and the shark just turns around and your hand slips off and it's coming at you, so you're pushing it away with the other hand.
Gathering his courage, Jim makes a bold move, grabbing hold of the bucking beast by the fins. He's got it in hand, but getting it out of water is the diver's next challenge. Jim clings to the writhing shark, risking his safety every second he's got the beast in his arms. At last, Sean and Jim have the nurse shark on board.
You almost got me a couple times.
To avoid harming the animal, they know the tagging has to happen fast. Yet any carelessness could cost them a limb. The two divers quickly implant a tracking tag and prepare the beast for a safe release.
Okay, here we go.
With practiced speed, the men get the tagged nurse shark back in the water.
All right, off we go, and away it goes, perfectly fine.
Two shark wrangles pulled off barehanded. Today, the lab is 2 missions closer to protecting and preserving some of the ocean's most amazing alpha predators. Thousands of kilometers away, Spain's Ebro River. The Oki noodling team is deep into their mission. Far from Oklahoma, on their hunt for a whopper record-setting Wells catfish.
In Oklahoma, this would have fish under it. It's wide open. It goes way back up underneath there, tapers off. It's got a cavity. Right in there, you trap your fish. This would be a perfect spawning spot where, you know, our flat is.
We've had a bit of a rise and fall in river level. Storms brought some rather unexpected weather and some water into the system.
But 2 full days of a frustrating search
Go look again.
is straining the team's patience and confidence.
They ain't where we normally would catch them. They gotta be somewhere. You gotta try something different.
Change it up.
Change strategies.
Yep.
Reeds is about the last thing we haven't done.
After 48 hours with no luck, the men decide on their next terrain target. Dense reeds flanking the river's small islands. The Wells often use tall grass as a nest, a noodler's target. The team's plan is to approach the unsuspecting fish and grapple it straight out of the reeds.
Check out that dark one. That's a big one. 2 of them right over there in the shallows. See the dark shadows moving?
I see it. I see it moving up.
One going down too. We might have a chance in this.
Stealth is key for a surprise attack, but Mark McFarland is aware of the dangers of a blind strategy.
I started getting just a little, maybe scared. I guess more respect for the fish that I haven't seen yet. Having to crawl back in the reeds on all fours to get to their fish, you know. I'm thinking, wow, this is almost like a monster or something.
At any moment, the men could bump into Europe's biggest, most notorious catfish.
Danger. Yeah, you never know. It's a big river. There's some big fish in there. Very brave. You know, them brave men. True men, yeah.
But the massive Wells has evaded the team once again. Yet they press on, abandoning the reeds for the more familiar terrain of rocks and shoreline.
Looking rocks. Let's try it.
See if there's a hole.
Oh, ow, ow, ow. Look around and see if you can find a hole. Got a hole? Got a hole?
Got it.
And suddenly, something latches on to Mark's hand.
You got him good?
Yeah.
Need help?
It just depends on what he does when I get him out.
With no idea what he's got, he grapples the fish. Experience tells him to move fast and strong. But the fish is fighting back, growing heavier by the second.
Ow! I got all tail, right here.
Every second the angler wrestles the beast, the fish has more chances to wriggle free.
Oh, here's a ow!
Or bite down harder.
There's tail.
Head down here.
Mark tightens his grip.
Got him good?
I got him now. I got bottom lip.
We'll bring him out.
Marshals his strength.
It's all you.
And gives a strong pull. At last, together, they've got it.
Easy.
It's a small Wells catfish. Mark estimates it weighs just under 9 kilograms.
First noodle catfish abroad. Now if we just get a bigger one.
It's not the whopper he's hunting, but it's the team's first noodle battling a feared catfish opponent on foreign soil.
It's just experience. Finding the first hole, finding the first fish. It is pretty cool.
Oh, now that's just a baby. These little ones I'm used to. I want something bigger than what I'm used to in my own waters. That's what I came over here for. Huge fish, that's what I'm after. Let's turn him loose and let him grow up.
Lee releases the small Wells. In addition to his quest for a monster specimen, Lee's committed to sustainable noodling, saving catfish for future generations.
Touch the fish in the water.
The team soon faces their last day in Spain. Over 8,000 kilometers from home, only time will tell whether they'll have the ultimate showdown of man versus fabled man-eater, a giant Wells catfish. On a remote island on the other side of the world, bare-handed fishing is more than a sport. It's a way of life. The deadly domain of an ancient clan, fighting for their survival. Lembata, Indonesia. This tiny South Pacific island is home to one of the oldest traditional fishing communities on Earth, the Lamalera.
We cannot grow food here or raise much livestock. Only the ocean provides what we need to survive. Our lives revolve around it.
For centuries, the Lamalera have depended on one creature more than any other for their survival: the sperm whale. Though today this diet staple may seem controversial, the clan subsists in harmony with all creatures of the ocean, never taking more from the seas than they need, using every part of every whale they catch.
Our ancestors were brought to this island on the backs of whales. We have much respect for this animal because it has kept us alive for so long.
Village carpenters work to build traditional boats called tena. The men who construct these vessels are following their ancestors' blueprints. They believe any deviation brings trouble.
We must follow the old ways. If we do not construct the bottom of the tena correctly, the whale will notice this and destroy it with his tail.
Each morning from May to October, the men of Lamalera set out to hunt. Incredibly, against massive ocean carnivores, the fishermen do battle equipped with only small metal harpoons, hand-stitched sails, and handmade boats. Their target? Meet the real-life Moby Dick. Larger than a city bus, sperms can stretch nearly 21 meters, weighing a staggering 44 tons. Whalers once hunted sperms for a white waxy substance found in their foreheads called spermaceti.
Historically, sperm whales were one of the more difficult whales to catch because they would ram boats, they would smash their tails down onto boats, and in the old days of whaling, when men were out there in boats that were pulled by oars or by a sail, then that made them extremely vulnerable.
The sperm whale's high commercial value made it a tantalizing target. By the early 1900s, these deep-sea leviathans were nearly extinct.
In 1946, community attitudes towards whales and whaling have changed considerably.
Thankfully, since the international whaling ban in the 1980s, the sperm whale population has rebounded. Hunting whales has become illegal in nearly every corner of the globe. Controversial Japanese whaling nets around 650 whales a year in the name of research. But to many, this is a dubious claim. The Lamalera take far fewer, only around 20 whales a year. And every part of the animal is used or traded.
Lamalera is truly a subsistence hunt. It's a tradition that has gone on for a very long time, and it's a relic of an ancient tradition in human history.
And over the years, the Lamalera have engaged in some epic battles with the mighty sperm whale. July 1999. A crew of 13 struggles to launch. With no natural bay on this rocky island, it's backbreaking work. Out at sea, hours pass. The men wait for any sign of a whale as the lookouts on shore scan the ocean. A sperm whale has been spotted. The boats signal each other to converge on their prey. The fishermen prepare their weaponry, and an ancient battle begins. Balancing their weapons on the boat's bow, the harpoonists are poised to attack. The first strike is critical and extremely dangerous.
Once we strike the whale, anything can happen. People have been caught in the rope and pulled under. Others have been crushed by the whale.
The men balance, aim, and launch. The crew looks on while the harpoonists struggle to land the perfect strike. Using their weapons like javelins. Paddling in circles, trying to get new vantage points. The men must all work together to surround a 10-ton beast. The battle rages for an incredible 3 hours. At every moment, the whalers risk being pulled over, getting tangled too close to the beast, or growing too exhausted to stay afloat. Some men dare to enter the water with knives, confronting their adversary face to face. Finally, after an epic fight, they've done it. In an ancient hand-fishing showdown, the men of Lamalera have their massive catch. a sperm whale to feed their village. As the boats tow the whale home, the Lamalera remains silent to convey respect for this magnificent animal. Back on shore, they use or trade every part of their catch. Today, though the clan's way of life is threatened by encroaching civilization, the fishermen of Lamalera continue their centuries-old tradition. Hunting whales, caught bare-handed.
We honor the whales of our ancestors by using every part of the animal. We have lived this way for centuries and hope to continue this way of life.
On the shores of Spain's Ebro River, the Oki noodlers have reached the final day of their quest for the legendary Wells catfish.
2 days and one little bitty fish. We've got to find something bigger. Yes, we have to.
The men are headed 3 hours downriver to a stretch of the Ebro where spawning wells have recently been sighted. The seasoned hand fishermen remain determined.
I've caught small fish here, but I've not caught the size I'm looking for. I'm still looking for one big one.
The noodlers continue to search the riverbank and rock formations.
Looks like it ought to have a hole under it. Yeah.
And Lee discovers a promising spot.
Big hole here. I got my legs down in, Mark's down in with me. Josh has got a back door over there. You guys, this is a big hole. I'm gonna go in feet first.
This time, there's a hit.
Oh man, did you feel that thump? That son of a buck's got my hand.
Lee feels a fighting fish latch on with cutting teeth.
Ow, ow.
Instinct tells him this one's big.
Mark, when we go down again, I'm gonna drag him up. When I bump you, help grab him.
The men need to prevent the fish from exiting the hole.
Josh? Yeah. You better get ready to grab this tail. Go here.
He's certain he's got a whopper Wells biting for its life on the end of his arm.
He's right here between us, Mark.
Only sheer strength allows him to keep the fish pinned inside its hole. Yet he can only keep the river beast trapped for so long.
Ah! Damn!
Moving quickly, Mark tries to get a thin rope called a stringer attached to the fish's lip and gills.
Whatever you do, keep everything blocked. Do not let this fish get away. I cannot come over here and play with one and say I lost it.
Working together, grabbing hold, putting all their muscle into the pull. At last, they've got the catch right where the noodlers want it.
Have him! Damn! That was a big one. What do you mean, was? He didn't get away.
They finally have their prize in hand.
That's a good fish. That's what we're after.
It takes 3 men to keep a tight hold on a truly massive Wells catfish.
That's what we come to Spain for. Look at this sucker. That is awesome. Massive as that tail is. God, I can't imagine. Our fish, if it's like this, nobody in Oklahoma would be noodling. They'd be saying, forget you, you're crazy. Because them fish are aggressive.
At the weigh-in,
Yeah, 94.
the stats are astounding. Just over 42 kilograms and nearly 1.8 meters long.
I think they bite just like our fish.
It's the biggest fish any of the men have ever noodled on any shore.
That's what we come here for. We can go back and show our face in America.
And pictures.
The noodling dream team takes a moment to examine their truly colossal catfish.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Yeah, just awesome, really. You just beat it up. Total hats off to you.
Elated, the Oklahoma noodlers return the fish to the Ebro. An expedition success.
That fish could almost done anything. I said, I'm just disappointed I didn't get no scars. I got a bunch of fish slime, that's for sure.
Excited ain't the word. I don't know what the word is for catching something like that. Just shocked.
It could be a beginning of a new era for us. I mean, you know, have bags packed, we'll travel. Just say where. Noodlers abroad, noodlers at large.
All right, noodler abroad, world record.
For sport, survival, or to help save a species. For adventure anglers who dare to go face to face against the world's mightiest whoppers without rod and reel. It's the ultimate thrill of monster fish caught bare-handed.